Councillor Lennox Zepp, are you there?
I am. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
What? Hello. Being 5 o'clock, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'd like to remind everyone that we're on Treaty 6 land and the home of the Métis, and I'll ask everyone to rise and the city clerk to say the prayer.
O God, let us each in our own way ask your wisdom and guidance in our deliberations. Help us to incorporate into all our decisions those values which will enable us to fulfill our mission, to act as responsible stewards, and to respect and value the cultural and spiritual tradition of all citizens of the city of Prince Albert. For this we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Now, do we have to have this correspondence? Okay, if I could get a motion to approve the agenda with the additional of one item that was placed on your desk.
Why is it that every time we have a council meeting, we get the same thing from the same person?
Yeah. He's not speaking the good part. Okay, Councillor Gilmer.
Thank you. I move that the agenda for this meeting with the amendment be approved as presented, and that the presentation, delegations, and speakers listed on the... Sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. Let me just start again. That the agenda for this meeting be approved, and the presentations and delegations and speakers listed on the agenda be heard when called forward by the mayor. Not as amended.
Oh, so we're not accepting the letter. Okay, perfect. Okay, seconder? Councillor Zierakowski, seconded? Okay, I'll prompt the question.
Tara Lenning's up for a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Just to clarify, is this motion intending to include the letter that was added to our material?
No, it does not. She did not accept the amendment. She's moved the motion without it on. And if it passes, it's not added. If it's defeated, then someone can make a motion to add it. Because it was after the deadline.
I guess just a comment.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just a comment then, that the deadline to provide material is the Tuesday before the council meeting. And of course, the agendas do come out on Thursday. So I'm not sure how individuals would be able to provide items on agendas that aren't out yet. So I guess as a practice, we as a council have often agreed that letters from the public do
Correct.
go onto the agenda.
Correct. And the letter was dropped off and after it, so it has come to council, and it's council's decision whether to add it or not, and the motion is not at this point.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Yeah. Yeah, as presented. Okay, it's now open. Oop, we're missing two voters. Oh, Tara Lennox Abb.
Thank you. Opposed.
Oh, we got it. Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, presentations, we have none. Declaration of conflict of interest, you all know that. If you have a conflict, you declare it at the time of the item and the reason, and then you excuse yourself. Thank you. Number 6, adoption of the minutes. Councillor Miller.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. That the minutes of the council regular meeting held September 6, 2022 be taken, read, and adopted.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question is now open.
In favor.
Count. Okay. Motion carries. Okay, notice the proclamations. I had 5. Number 1, Seniors Transportation Day is September 29th, 2022. Wrongful Conviction Day is October 2nd, 2022. International Trigeminal Day, October 7th. 7.4, Cultural Day is September 23rd to October 16th. 7.5, Agricultural Month, October 2022. Those are all my proclamations since the last meeting. Number 8, public hearings, we have none. Number 9, delegations, we have none. Number 10, communications, we have none. Number 11, reports of administration and committees. 11.1, 2021 property tax for 3600 Highway 55 East. Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship, I agree with the recommendation that the request for the property owner to reimburse a portion of the 2021 property taxes for 3600 Highway 55 East be approved in the amount of $5,284.70.
Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Seeing no one in the queue, I'll prompt the question. Question is now open. Oh, no, it's not. It's now open. Councillor Zepp.
In favor.
Motion carries. $11.2, audit, financial statements, results. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess a question to administration. I did kind of
Need a motion first and a seconder.
Okay. Well, then I mean, I'm not opposed to the motion. I have a question first before I put it up for.
Okay, once it comes up, I'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Councillor Kilmer.
I'll move that the request for proposal number 29 of 2022 for the audit of the annual financial statements be awarded to Myers Norris Penny Limited for a 5-year term from December 31st, 2022 to December 31st, 2026.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Comments? Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question to administration. Reading the report, I'm guessing there's only the one company that actually bid on it. I know there's a couple 13 different professional services, including 6 accounting firms, but only one was received, one bid was received for this tender, I guess. Is that fair to say? Is that true?
Thank you, Mayor Dion, and thank you, Councillor Head, for the question. There was only one accounting firm that bid on that RFP. We did have inquiries from other out-of-town accounting firms, but they felt that with the added accommodation costs, they wouldn't have been competitive.
Thank you. That's what I suspected. And looking at it, it is an additional cost from the last 5 years. But why are we looking at 5 years? Why are we going to post this every year or every other year in hopes of getting a better deal?
I would have to say that at least we're locked into these prices right now for 5 years. If we keep putting it up for bid every year, we have a chance that the prices would be higher than that.
So you're thinking that because over the 5 years, that this is a way to get it cheaper?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. That's all the questions I have.
Don't shut your light off. So I understand it's 3 years with an option of 2. Do I have that right, or is it 2 with an option of 3?
It's usually 3 with an option of 2, but I'd have to look back.
Okay, so
to
after
confirm.
that term, we'll say it's 3. We
Okay.
can look at it, and if we feel that the market has gone down, we don't have to add the 2 years. We can tender it then again.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you very much. Okay, I support that then. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Zapp,
In favor.
motion carries. Thank you. 11.3, assessment appeal risks. Boy, we're all sitting quiet. Councillor Cody.
Yeah, with all sadness that we do this, but I guess it has to be done. But I will move that $829,553 from the combined appeal losses be funded from the fiscal stabilization, and that the increase from $100,000 to $250,000 in potential Board of Revision appeal losses in 2023 be forwarded for consideration during the 2023 budget deliberations.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second that.
Okay, discussion, Councillor Cody.
Yeah, you know, it's really sad when you look at this situation. The biggest of the biggest are taking us to the cleaners. You know, we've got all kinds of mom and pop organizations. We've got little houses, big houses, and they see fit not to do this. But the biggest of the organizations take us on, and we don't get a hell of a lot from them, I can tell you that, other than one, and that is Malcolm Jenkins with the Canadian Tire. You can certainly understand him wanting a fair deal, but because he gives us a fair deal. But what do you get out of some of the others? Pleasantly zero. That's what you get, and it's just shameful. And during COVID times, the one store particular has made nothing but massive profits, massive profits, and they take the city to the cleaners. And what do? They don't even look after their parking lot properly. They want us to have the security. They want our policemen to go there all the time, and they don't want to pay. And it's just not right. But what I want to say, however, as well, I know that the public is queasy about this. They're saying, well, why did it happen this way? Did your people make a mistake? And the answer is no, they did not make a mistake. And I also say to you folks and to the general public, where is the provincial government on this? Senior governments are there to protect the little people, not to take them to the cleaners. And that's what's happening here. There is ways that the province of Saskatchewan could have protected us, but they did not do it. And I think that we should call them on this, because it's a shame and a crime to think that we have to weather this storm alone, and our taxpayers are the one have to put their hard work forward to pay for this when it's absolutely not necessary. And all they did is hide behind some jargon that in the SAMA or whatever the case may be, and of course they bring these big tax agents in from Eastern Canada, and what chance do we have? It's not only this cost. It's not only this cost. It's the cost of fighting these people. through various courts. That's also a cost. And it just seems to me not right that we don't get some help from some senior government that would give us a hand in saying, look, we're going to try and make you whole, or hold harmless, at least from these big companies who are taking it to the cleaner.
Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Cody, for those words. I couldn't agree more. It is, definitely challenging because we're coming into the budget as well, and having this additional cost come back to us, is going to definitely create some issues for us moving forward. I can't agree more. It's unfortunate these companies had challenged the city, and this was back in 2017 for some of our listeners. Of course, battles take a long time, and now we're seeing some of those results of that. And I just want to clarify this motion of $829,000, because right now it's only at the potential losses will be up to $923,000. The loss currently is at $652,000, and we are, in preparation of the other two outcomes of this court. Of this hearing? Is that fair to say? I guess for administration. Do we expect to lose these ongoing cases? Because I read in this report that there's still some outstanding, but the outcome may be the same.
If you ask me to do my job again, I will not.
Maybe to the city manager.
I was paying attention. Podium. Add. Podium. Grant the floor.
No, you didn't. Tap the podium?
How come it turned
Just
red
want
on
to
my
clarify,
sheet?
yeah. I mean, the report speaks to it, but maybe some of the residents haven't read the report.
There you go.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Head, for the question. To clarify, the outstanding appeal losses from 2017 to 2020 have been completed. We have our 2021 scheduled hearings yet for this year to occur. So it's not all finalized yet for all of our outstanding appeals.
But we expect to lose $923,213.76. Is that fair? Is that the loss here we're going to see?
Yes, the 2021 amount under the financial implications of just over $155,000 is still what's at risk.
That
The
is a lot.
remaining is all completed.
$1 million here that we're going to have to suck up. So, I just wanted to kind of voice some of my concerns. Thank you for that clarification. But yeah, very sad as Councillor Cody has mentioned. So, thank you.
Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cody and Councillor Head, for your wise words. I just want to clarify, too, that when Councillor Cody is talking about us and we, I think I just want to clarify, is that also including the other cities in the province? They've had the same difficulties with the same?
Yes.
We are not alone?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Kilmore, for the question. The tax agent also challenged other Walmart and Canadian Tire Corporation properties in the province that are also valued on the cost approach.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, what frustrates me about the big W is they're very flaunting on the tens of millions of dollars that they make in this store. And who gives it to them? Us, the little guy. We shop there. And they're the big guy, and then they want us to help pay the tax implications because they don't want to pay their fair share. You know, that may work in the United States, but in Canada, we take care of our neighbors, and we respect our neighbors. And I think that's the most frustrating part. You hear, they're appealing all their taxes across the country. They are. And then you hear their half-year report that they've made millions, but it's on the back of the little people, and that's what frustrates me, and that's why I'm very proud to say I've never been through one of their tills, and I won't be, because that's the only way we can hurt them, is if we don't shop there, they might wake up and start having respect. So, any other comments? I see nobody else in the queue. Questions now open. Counselor Zepp.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, thank you. 11.4, 2021 amended accounts, City of PA. Councillor Miller.
That the 2021 amended public accounts be approved and posted on the city website.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Edwards.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I see no one in the queue.
Tara Lennox up, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Question to administration. Could you just advise us how this was communicated with the provincial government as it is an amendment to the original document?
Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lennox Zepp. We were in contact with the ministry after we discovered the errors, and they are expecting an amended copy of our 2021 public accounts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Okay, I'll prompt the question again. Question is now open. Councillor Zepp.
In favor.
Okay, motion carries. 11.5, bylaw number 20 of 2020, District Official Community Plan Amendment. Councillor Edwards.
Also move the bylaw number 20 of 2022 be introduced and given first reading, and 2, that administration provide notification to hold a public hearing.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? I see none in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Zepp.
In favor.
Motion carries. City Clerk.
Mayor, we have bylaw number 20 of 2022 to provide for several amendments to bylaw number 18 of 2018, the Prince Albert Planning District Official Community Plan. This bylaw is for first reading only.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. I also move the bylaw number 20 of 2022 be introduced and read a first time.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? I see no one in the queue. We're now open. Councillor Zepp.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. 11.6, 48th Street. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that the RM Prince Albert number 461 be authorized to proceed with the annexation of 48th Street East from the city, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the annexation agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder. Oh, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Discussion?
Tara Lennox up for the queue.
Go ahead.
Thank you. In the material that we've received, I haven't seen anything from the RM that indicates that they would need to own this roadway in order to benefit from the provincial funding that they are talking about. And so I guess my concern is that we as a city, give up a roadway when it doesn't appear to be required in order to meet the goal. The reason here, provided in the report, to agree to this annexation is so that we can have the benefit of the provincial funding for roadway improvement. So that's my comment. Now, I do have a question for administration. Is this is intended just the roadway, not parcels of land as well? Can I just confirm that?
Go ahead, Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lennox-Epp. To answer your question, you are correct. The annexation is just for the road right-of-way only.
So then I guess just my last remark is that I would think that I haven't seen anything that says that it needs to be owned by the RM, and perhaps we may want to consider other options in order to meet this goal, this shared goal. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no one else in the queue. The question is now open. Councillor Zepp?
Opposed.
I'm missing one vote. Okay, motion carries. Trash. 11.7, 2023 Executive and Council Meeting Schedule. Okay. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that the 2023 Executive Committee and City Council meeting schedules be approved, and that the July 2023 and August 2023 Executive Committee and City Council meetings be scheduled for 2 p.m.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. Questions now open. Councillor Zepp.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. $11.8 City Hall, Maine boardroom renovations. These next four came from Executive Committee. That's why there's no one here to speak on them. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that the following be approved for the proposed renovations of the second floor main boardroom. Number one, $18,795.39 set aside from the year 2021 with the reallocation of MAP funding to an invoice to provide capital funding for reallocation by council, and that $11,094.82 in the capital works committed reserve from the savings of the 2021 capital projects of the City Hall and Municipal Services Building repairs.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. And any questions? I see no one in the queue. So I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Zepp.
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. 11.9 Aquatic Rink Arena Project Steering Committee restructure. Councillor Zierakowski.
Thank
you, Mayor. I'll move that the Aquatic and Arenas Recreation Project Steering Committee be restructured to include all members of council, and that these committee appointments be approved, and that Mayor Greg Dion remain as chair, and the vice chair remain in place of the Aquatic and Arenas Rec Project Steering Committee.
One more.
And that the terms of reference for said committee be approved.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Edwards?
Seconded, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any comments? Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mayor Dion, but I'm going to respectfully decline to go on this committee. I just feel that decisions have already been made. I had mentioned a few things that I would like to see for green initiatives to be done. I just feel that there's money left on the table by not doing some of those things, and all that there is like we've been talking about for a little bit in the beginning, is the windows and the insulation that's going to be green. And I just don't feel that's enough for me, and I'm going to just respectfully decline going on this committee.
That's your option. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question about, because I know a lot of these reports, committee recommendations have been coming to City Council, and we've been voting on those as they come forward. Why now? Why the change now? I mean, this committee, I think there was some contention around at the beginning of this committee being struck that maybe it should include all members of council. So maybe it's just for the public and for us, why is this coming to us now? Why are we being included onto the committee structure?
Well, to make the communications more positive. As you said, all recommendations, the committee is just the committee. Anything that's done or moved forward has to be approved by this council. So the committee thought it would be better that if we included everyone, then they have the opportunity to hear it firsthand and actually hear it secondhand when it comes to council. So then they could not say that this is the first time they're hearing about it. And so we extended the olive branch to say, look, we're a group, we're a team, and we have no problem with everyone joining us.
Thank you, and I just want to clarify as well, or confirm that the only changes to the procedure. Sorry. The structure of the committee and some of the terms of reference are just to include the numbers of 9 of the City Council as well.
Correct.
So, okay, well, thank you for answering those questions.
No problem. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. And just to clarify, I believe, is phase 1, 2, and 3 are part of this motion. So we've now made some decisions on phase 1.
That's it.
And we do have a lot of discussion to go, lots of discussion. So I believe it's important that everybody's at the table. I also want to make sure everybody knows that everybody was invited to all the meetings. So had the potential to come into those rooms and have discussions. Thank you.
She resigns, the commission resigns. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to have to do here is I'm going to ask Councillor Zierakowski to change the motion that to number 3, that we accept Charlene Miller's request not to be part of the committee. Thank you. Terry, number 3. Okay.
I think it's important that it's a request.
Yep.
We're certainly not excluding.
No.
Excluding our colleague.
No, it's her decision.
Upon request, perhaps, if Councilor Miller is okay with that language.
Excluding Councilor Miller as requested.
Okay. Everyone understands? I'm going to prompt the question. Okay. Council.
I think we want to be crystal clear here what we're doing. And I'm totally in favor of the motion. But what bothers me a little bit is Councillor Miller opting out. and it says Councillor Miller as requested. As requested by whom? I think you want to put in there specifically for the public's viewing that it was not us that requested her not to be there. It was her that requested herself not to be present at the meeting. So I would prefer us to say Councillor Miller as requested by herself.
Okay. Okay, yep, that was the request. Councillor Brodnick?
I just have a question of the city clerk, I guess, then. Is this necessary to even include this statement? Because when I read this report, it said that we're not obligated to attend, and we realize that the meetings, some of us might not be able to attend. So why even include this? If somebody chooses not to attend, they choose not to attend. It'll show up, in our a record of who attends and who doesn't attend at the end of the year. So why even include it?
Because she's requested, and she wants the public to know that she's not going to be any part of the decision-making for the committee.
These meetings are recorded anyways, and so the public knows, but I don't know why it has to be in the motion.
Because she requested them.
Okay. Does it legally have to be in the motion, City Clerk?
The committee would be made up of the nine individuals. And so by reducing it down to 8, it does affect the quorum of the council.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of that committee. Yeah.
Okay, I see nobody else in the queue. It is now, now open. Councillor Zapp?
In favor.
Motion carries. Okay, 11.10, Aquatic and Arena Recreation Fundraising Committee update terms of reference. Councillor Edwards?
Also move that the updated terms of reference for the Aquatics and Arenas Recreation Project Fundraising Committee be approved.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Cody?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you. I don't see anyone in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Question is now open. Councillor Zapp?
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. 11.11, Destination Marketing Levy Application, Canadian Mixed Curling. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that the amount of $35,000 be approved for funding under Destination Marketing Fund Grant Capital Enhancements to host committee of the 2022 Canadian Mixed Curling Championships, and that $42,000 be funded from the Destination Marketing Levy Reserve, which includes $35,000 for capital enhancement funding and $7,000 for new event funding, and 3, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the funding agreement on behalf of the city.
Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will second this motion.
Thank you. Any comments? I see no one in the queue. It's now open. Councillor Zapp?
In favor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, unfinished business. We have none. Number 13, Mayors and Councilors Forum. Councilor Miller.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I attended The Multicultural Center had their multicultural days up at Carleton Comprehensive High School, and it was a good time, great entertainment by all kinds of cultures. It was very entertaining. My husband and I went there for our anniversary dinner, and I bought.
Oh, I was going to say he splurged, but I'm glad I didn't say that.
Yes, so it was well attended, and the event went out without a hitch. I didn't go on Saturday, but I did. Or Saturday we went, but Sunday we did not. But I'm sure it was good. You could watch it online as well. So hopefully everybody took their opportunity to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too attended Tapastrama, which was part of Culture Days, the two-day event Saturday and Sunday. And as Councillor Miller said, entertainment and my favorite, lots of food from around the world. And it was a great celebration of who we are in Prince Albert. And so I felt Michelle Hasler and her committee that put that on did a great job. I also want to mention that I was part of, and you attended as well, and Councillor Kilmer attended the Crescent Heights Spray Park grand opening, and that was on Thursday, September 15th. I want to mention the partnership again with Malcolm Jenkins of Canadian Tire. Great partnership there to make this spray park finally happen in Crescent Heights. We invited St. Catherine and St. John, or John Diefenbaker, schools. They attended, so we had about 140 children there that attended the opening. And I also want to commend the staff, the public work or community services, and in particular, I don't know his first name, Councillor Kilmer, Zanadine. What's his first name? Landon Zanadine from community services. You know, he went above and beyond in making sure that this park looked good for the soft opening earlier in the year, and then for the opening as well. And he maintains and looks after these spray parks, and he knows what he's doing, and he's a very dedicated staff member. Right? And from my opinion, from what I saw, and how hard he's worked in making sure that these spray parks operate. And so I want to publicly commend him and the Department of Community Services, I should say. Sunday, September 18th was Terry Fox Run in Prince Albert, and I brought greetings on behalf of the city. Bruce Vance was the honorary chair that got the run going, and so that was interesting. And he also spoke about when Terry began his run and went through Ontario. Terry Fox was a year older than Bruce, and Bruce had the opportunity of interviewing him. He was a young journalism student, and he was able to interview Terry Fox. And I thought that was really kind of cool. That
it is.
That you know, we have a person in Prince Albert that works here at City Hall that was able to meet Terry Fox in person and interview him from a very different perspective. So he spoke a little bit about that, and that was really quite moving. I do want to take a little bit of time to talk about our parks as well, and the naming of our parks. And as I said before, I'm going to let the public know the great decision that was made in naming of our parks, and two more that's in my colleague here, Councillor Edwards' ward, Ward 6, is Lloyd Smith and John Hall, two veterans. And Lloyd Smith, as I mentioned once before, was a aircraft gunner. He was in the Canadian Air Force from 1950 until his retirement in 1972. That's a long time to dedicate to the Canadian Air Force. And he was a mechanic, and those are the types of jobs that are necessary in our Canadian forces. And veterans that did all sorts of different jobs to make our contributions successful are necessary. And Lloyd Smith is an example of a person that needs to be honored, needs to be recognized for his contributions. And I'm very proud that we took the advice of the Royal Canadian Legion and the Anna Vets and put his name forward to name a park in Councillor Edwards' ward. Second one is John Hall, a signaller and communications person in World War II, a veteran. Took part in the Battle of Britain. That's the defense of Britain. And had Britain fallen, God help us, what would have happened. And Britain never fell, and it's because of people like John Hall and other veterans that contributed to the defense of Great Britain and in the English Channel and all the dogfights and all the battles that took place. And it's incredible. He also was there on D-Day. He was there, the Battle of Calais, and he was involved in the liberation of both Belgium and the Netherlands. And I'm very proud that the Legion and the Anavets put his name forward as well to have a park named after this man, and so that Canadians and Prince Albertans will honor him and know his contributions to the successful war effort of World War II. And again, it's in Councillor Edwards' ward. I can't remember exact street. Lastly, I just want to talk very briefly about another park or green space that we have, or open space that we have in the city that past council members had named, and that's Memorial Square, just right outside here. When we talk about Memorial Square, if you read the plaque, and I took a picture of it so I get this correct. It says, this square is named in memory of past citizens. Past citizens. It doesn't mention gender or anything like that. It's named for those who served in wars and for those who have contributed their energy and their excellence to the business, labor, agricultural, professional, artistic, athletic life of Prince Albert. With gratitude, we remember. So, I mean, I'm not going to go and talk about all the laborers that contributed, whether they're male or female, it doesn't matter. We had lots of artisans, athletes, etc., that contributed to the success of Prince Albert, and that's what that's named after. But it's also named after our men and women that served. If you think about World War I, 500,000, 14,000 of those 500,000 Canadians served. We were a population of 7 million at that time. 500,000 served. 14,000 were women that actually went overseas and served. And so we're honoring them. We're also honoring the 50,000 women that directly served overseas during World War II, of the million Canadians that served. We're also acknowledging the millions of Canadians that stayed at home and defended the home front during that war. And that's what that park's named after. It's recognizing those people that took positions in factories, in repairing airplanes, sacrificing food, etc., for the war effort. And that's who we're recognizing in Memorial Square. So we're recognizing the great people of Prince Albert that did all of that. And so I'm very proud that previous councils, and I asked Councillor Cody if he can remember when this came about, because he has more history than me here. And he said it's been around forever, since ever he can remember. It's been named Memorial Square. And I'm not exactly certain when the official date came about, but it's known as Memorial Square. And it as I said, recognizes not only veterans and people that contributed on the home front, but also people of all walks of life of Prince Albert that has made Prince Albert a better place. And that's kudos to that council that made that motion to call it Memorial Square. So thank you. That's all I have to say today. Next council meeting, I'll bring some more veterans' names forward.
Thank you. If I could just butt in for a minute, because I'm going to ask the director, not only are we naming Memorial Square, if people come by, there's lots of construction that's going on in Memorial Square, that we're adding 4. I'll ask the director, 4 or 5, if you could name what they are, because I think one of them is also dedicated to women in the war. So I'll just jump to. Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. So certainly a very worthy project for Memorial Square that Council approved here just recently is the placement of, and actually no, I was wrong with 5, I believe it's 6. So monuments in recognition of the Korean War, Afghanistan War, peacekeepers, in honor of peacekeepers and the work that they've done, female veterans, and First Nations veterans. So I believe that was 6 in total, if we were,
Right.
might have been correct. So those will be going in place. The goal is to have them installed for Decoration Day of June of 2023. So the work that's happening right now is all that preparatory work. We were concerned that if that waited until the spring, you know how the winter can push, and we thought getting the work done now with the funding that we received through Veteran Affairs Canada, that it would be great to have our end of it done and the monuments placed in June of 2023.
Okay. Now, again, this is in a partnership with our vets. We just didn't do this on our own. This is, again, a continued partnership moving forward.
With the Legion and certainly the federal government as well, the application to Veteran Affairs Canada.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship. I had the opportunity to take on a service at the St. Albans Church the other night in honor of the funeral for our Queen. And it was very, very touching, I must say. The Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Morasti, was there, and his wife, and certainly many bishops were there from both the Aboriginal folks, Indigenous people, and also from the Anglican Church. It was very well done, and I appreciated the opportunity to be there, and I appreciated very much that I was invited by His Reverend from the Anglican Church as well as the bishop. And so I appreciated that, and it was a great event and very worthwhile. And they did have a lunch after, which I couldn't stay because I had another appointment, but I would have loved to stay and converse with them, but wasn't able to do that. But it was a beautiful event.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you to the PA BID executive directors for a very successful sidewalk sale and use of the Memorial Square this past Saturday, where they had singers and food trucks. It was just a really fun and eventful event. And I was lucky enough to participate in a food and walking tour of our downtown put on by Fred Payton and Councillor Lennox Zepp. Learned a great deal about our history. Fred Payton has a remarkable brain for what or historical references. He just has all of that. And we were lucky enough to stop at 4 great places for food, and there are others. So Crown Pizza, that was top notch. Stella's for cupcakes, Bison Cafe for some really delicious coffee and little cookies, and finally Funky Fresh for chocolate. So that's always the best way to end a tour, and I'm sure everyone that participated enjoyed it, and I hear that there will be others.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick update on the crime focus group. Councillor Head and I met with MLA Hargraves a couple of weeks ago to discuss that the SAS Party has received the letter. We also met with a few members, and we requested the meeting. We were told we were going to get a meeting with the Premier. We're still hoping that this occurs hopefully we can get a meeting within the next couple of weeks. Need to realize that we want them to realize that we are serious about getting assistance to help tackle the issues in Prince Albert. I was told that they have circulated the letter within the government and that we are to receive a date, but that needs to come sooner than later. So just a quick update on that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, too, for taking that important project on. Councillor Zirakowski.
Thank you, Mayor. I rise to a few things, if I may. First of all, I was pleased to give greetings on behalf of yourself and the city on September the 10th. It was the Terry Fox Relay Edition, hosted by Vern Hodgins up at the track. And this year we had some competition between our emergency services. The fire services were there, the police department, the RCMP, as well as the correctional officers.
Oh, wow.
It was very, I was going to say fast, but not so fast, one lap around the track. And for the first time in anybody's memory in attendance, it was the fire services that came out on top. So it must be in anticipation of the training officer that's going to be approved by council.
Or new members.
Or new members, yeah. So again, it was a fundraising opportunity towards Terry Fox fundraising for cancer research, and it was really nice to see our emergency services out on their own time, contributing to a great cause. The other thing I wanted to do, if I may, I'd like to give my colleagues a heads up of my intention to propose a couple of notices of motion tonight, specifically asking administration to review a couple of bylaws. So just give it some thought so you're not surprised. The first one has to do with the traffic bylaw, specifically the portion that deals with having camper trailers in front of your home. I think it is for 48 hours. Of course, you may recall that before the creation of that bylaw, there was certainly a bit of a free-for-all all over the city, but I wonder now if enough time has gone by, we can do some public consultation and see if that bylaw fits with the needs of our community. The other bylaw I'm going to ask administration to review with your support is a review of the off-sale liquor hours within the city. And finally, a review of the hours of operation for 24-hour, they're not liquor stores yet, but 24-hour convenience stores. So those are the notices of motion that I'll put forward tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing no one in the
Chair
queue.
Lennox, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to mention that myself, Councillor Kilmer, and Councillor Cody also attended the Mural Unveiling in downtown Prince Albert last week, the mural of Kostapananek. And it's a collaborative mural with the community youth building futures, and it looks just beautiful. It celebrates sustainability and diversity in our city in a really positive way. Food tour, I really enjoyed assisting with the downtown food tour that Councillor Kilmer mentioned, and we did learn a lot. There will be future tours. The sidewalk sale in downtown Prince Albert was great and had lots of great entertainment. I also attended the opening of the new neonatal unit at the Victoria Hospital on behalf of the city, and that was a really positive opening. And lastly, I brought greetings on behalf of the city to the vigil that was held in front of City Hall recently, commemorating the tragedy at James Smith First Nation in Weldon. And so it was a very sad and somber event, but important and appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll just be quick because you covered almost everything that was at. But as you know, winter's coming and we are hockey town. So our hockey did start. Friday night our Raiders started. Saturday and Sunday our Mintos. Next Saturday our Bears home opener. And I'd really encourage you to get out and cheer on the Bears because they have a big challenge this year because they have the Canadians coming early in the new year. So they really got a tough goal to get. So I encourage people, and minor hockey starting up. So I encourage people to get out and encourage. I'd also remind people that to slow down when you're around our sports facilities and our rinks, because we have lots of kids that are excited, they're not thinking, they're looking for the car to run to with their equipment, and we've had a couple of near misses, and I'm glad to say they're near misses, but I just want to encourage people when we have gatherings of young people in our sporting facilities to please slow down. Number 14, inquiries. Councillor Head.
Yikes. Okay, thank you, Your Worship. I want to, I guess, inquire about some of our bus services, as you know, and I'm not the only one that received emails from concerned parents, comments from some of our students. But what are we doing to reassure our kids are getting to school on time, that they're getting notified when buses are going to show up? Are we running 2 rush hour buses in the morning? I'm hearing complications with having to get out there too early, well before an hour before school. But so can the director answer some of those questions about reassuring our residents that our services will be second to none and definitely will get them to school on time?
Go ahead, Director of Public Works.
Thank you for the question. So as you know, we've had a very difficult year when it comes to transit. With the 6 buses that we have now, they have become much more reliable than anything else in the last year. They're still having, some issues on occasion, but for the most part, as I will be reporting in your divisional updates next week, we are having the best month in over 3 years. So they are bringing in a lot of new customers and students, and ridership is way up. And we're doing everything we can to make sure that those buses stay on the road every single day, including we're working with the First Canada student to bring in 2 more additional buses.
Yep, no, go ahead. Oh.
Thank you, Worship. And maybe not a question for the Director of Public Works, but I know there's been some concerns with some of our young riderships now taking the bus alone. They're flagging some concerns with our transition station here downtown. Are we providing any security measures for that group, for that area, during those school pickups and or drop-offs?
No, we are not. We have never in the past. The city of Prince Albert doesn't provide any security services at the transit station downtown. We never have in the past.
Yeah, we'll bring that up because they should be there in the morning and afternoons because that's when the majority of the students are there. Okay, so I just want to emphasize something that you said because that was the most important thing you had to say. We have 2 more buses coming. With 6, we struggle because we have 6 routes, so if one breaks down, we're in trouble. So we do have 2 more buses. We have identified that problem, and we do have 2 more buses, and we hope to have them shortly, and then we'll be a lot more reliable. Because it's a big responsibility now that the school board is not hauling those students, that we stand up and deliver a service that we should be. Okay, Councillor Zierakowski.
Well, Your Worship, it's a communication piece as well. I've taken calls as well. I have friends that have kids in school. I know we all have. I'm sure we all have in the room here. And we all want those students to get to school safely and get home safely. So, but remember, the city of Prince Albert does not operate those buses. There's a contractor that does. So how can we, as the city, support them in what they do, especially on that communication piece? What does First Canada Student Bus do? What can they do? Well, how can we support them to get that heads up out by 8 a.m. in the morning, if not earlier? So I think that's the communication piece as well. If the buses aren't running, let's get the message out earlier. If the bus isn't running, let's get the message out. So I appreciate administration's effort on that, I really do. But it doesn't matter how hard we work if we don't tell that story. And we need to tell that story. We need to let people know what's going on and support the contractor that hires the bus drivers, that responsible for the staffing to put the buses on the street, and that communication piece. Let the people know.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments under inquiries? Any more inquiries? No? Councillor Zapp?
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to 15, inquiry responses. 15.1, September 6th, City Council inquiries. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that inquiry 22-9 be received as information and filed.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Zierakowski.
No.
You'll second it. Councillor Edwards seconds it. Thank you.
Yep.
No. Okay, Councillor Zierakowski.
Thank you. So this inquiry had to do with the speed indicators in each ward in the neighborhood, right? That's the inquiry we were talking about?
If it's on that list, yeah.
Yes. And I don't understand the response, so maybe some clarity, please. Reviewing the inquiry, and we'll be providing a message following the review. So where do I have to go? What time? Who do I meet with? Who should I call to get an answer to my question that was how many weeks ago? And the people in my neighborhood want to know what's going on. And for me to wait that long for a response is not something I'm comfortable with. Where are the speed, neighborhood speed locator signs? It was all a priority of council at one point in time. What's the plan for them? It should be in somebody's work plan. And some communication and sharing of information should be going on. So before we receive and file, I'm not comfortable with the response, providing a response following a review. That's way too open-ended for me.
Okay. Director of Public Works.
Thank you for that question. So we did have to look into this a little bit, but a response did go out on Friday. My understanding was, because we did submit it to the city manager's office, my understanding it went out to councilors on Friday, indicating the speed monitoring signs and where they're located and where they were moving in the future. At the beginning of that program, it was always open to the councilors to select the locations that they felt were important for each quarter. We are still receiving responses from some councilors. I know Councillor Blake Edwards has been very responsive every single quarter, so we know exactly where he wants his. When we don't receive a response, then the manager of transit and transportation puts it in the most likely place based on the speed indicators that we have from previous years. But having said that, a list did go out, and for October coming up here, Ward 1 is McLean Crescent, Ward 2 is 6th Avenue West between 18th and 20th, Ward 3 is 10th Avenue East near Stewart, Ward 4 is 15th Avenue East South at 7th Street, Ward 5 is Muzzy Drive near the playground, Ward 6 is Wiley Crescent, Ward 7 is Central Avenue between 22nd and 28th, and Ward 8 is 6th Avenue West, south of 22nd Street. There's also a list for January of 23 and April of 23 as a proposed location. The data that has been collected will be coming out shortly. Of course, as soon as these items get moved, then that's when we download the data. That has to be crunched and put into a format that you can look at it, and those charts will be coming out shortly. They will come out in October.
Okay, thank you. So for in October, when that data comes out, will it be put on the website for the public to find?
In a truncated version, yes, we will put in some of the more important items, the locations, the dates, and the average speeds, those kind of things will be posted.
Yeah, okay.
And they'll be sent to you.
Thank you for the response. I guess I was just hoping for more of a conversation rather than an email back and forth. And I'll take a look and see what those locations are. But I think that's the sort of communication I was hoping for, is a conversation rather than an email format. But thank you.
I will say again, it's open. We accept your selections. Please just give the manager of transportation and transit, give him an email or give him a call and put your requests in, and he'll apply it. And that's where the sign will be put for one quarter of the year.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, at the beginning of the program, we just laid it out. For the next 3 months, it was on this road, we wanted this road. We did 4 roads in a row is what we did, which was good. I think it was, it allowed for easier transition. You had all the data, but I mean, there was a transportation manager there was a changeover, so that wasn't followed afterwards, so that's okay. I think it should be that we still forward 4 roads at a time. Hopefully that's what we can do.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. Councillor Zapp?
In favor.
Motion carries. Thank you. Number 16, notice of motion. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Worship. To make a motion, notice a motion that the city administration work with the PA Police Service to plan and implement methods on how we can register all bikes in our community by August 31st, 2023. And that's in accordance to our bicycle bylaw. Thank you.
Perfect. Councillor Zierakowski.
I think we'll make a notice of motion that the administration review the traffic bylaw with specifically regarding the parking of camper trailers in front of residential homes.
Did you have a second one? Go ahead, keep going. Yeah, sorry. Oh. Sorry.
That administration review the off-sale liquor hours in our community. And the third one is that administration review the hours of operation for 24-hour convenience stores. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? I did not see anyone else, so I'm going to move on to number 17 motions. 17.1 motion from Councillor Miller, proposed shopping carts pickup policy. Councillor Miller.
I'm going to change it a little bit from a policy to something else.
Okay, go ahead. She'll type.
Okay. That administration establish a process which is communicated to all businesses that utilize shopping carts that the city will pick up.
Just give her a minute here. Shopping carts, okay, go ahead. That the city will?
That the city will pick up and take stray shopping carts to the landfill for pickup by the end of each month prior to disposal.
Good move.
And when I get a seconder, I'll
Yep.
have a little more.
Okay. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second this, and I do have some comments as well.
Okay, you leave your mic on. We'll start with Councillor Miller, and I'll come back to you.
So I was informed today that we do have a policy on this. In 2006 or 2007, it was done. So if administration can look that up as well. And it, they charge the businesses $5. Maybe it should go to 10. I don't know. I'm not too sure what to do about that. But I was informed of that today. Yeah. So, and I changed it over with communications with the city manager over, I think it was Friday, when we talked about the policy. And so, yeah, so apparently there's a policy out there somewhere done years ago.
Thank you, and then get back to us. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I second this motion because I do feel that it is important that we look at what we're going to do about our abundance of carts throughout our neighborhoods. I mean, it seems like it's more and more now. So looking at ways, I would hope to have options of ways to address this. You know, I've gotten some ideas from some of the residents, but I'm interested to see what City Council, administration will come forward. And I recall a policy in place around the $5. If you bring it back, you would get some return for it. Maybe we look at that option and others as well about how we kind of deter individuals taking it from the property and leaving them in the neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Zierakowski.
Thank you. Just for some clarity, I need some help on this one. Is the intent to have the city, ask the city, first of all, is the intent, were we asking for a report that will identify a process? Okay. So I guess I'm wondering if it's my colleague's intent to ask administration just go do that, or are they going to come back and identify a process that we'll have a chance to review and talk about?
So I'm asking them to establish and communicate with all businesses once they gather up carts for them to come and pick them up before each month.
Right. Okay.
But do you want to report back?
No, I think it was answered.
Oh, but you don't want to report back coming to us first what they're going to do?
That's what I asked.
No, I'm pretty sure that they have, they just have to look it up.
Okay.
From 2006 or 7, and the policy is in place.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm uncomfortable then moving ahead with the policy or process that I'm not aware of, that our community isn't aware of. And I think probably a good first step is to have administration take a look, as you indicated, there's something that exists, talk to the businesses, see what fits with them, and come back to us and have a vetting of that process and identified. Rather than having, this is the wrong word, but unleashing administration on the community and saying, hey, go change the world. I'm a little uncomfortable with that. So I'd like to see it come back to us once administration comes back with a plan. I'm unsure of the intent. Is the intent to have city workers pick up carts as they see them, bring them to some central location, or drop them off at the businesses? It looks like for pickup, so maybe it is one central location. But certainly some sort of fee for service is really important here. I'm not sure if the city should be jumping in with the 2 feet without some return for that service, some meaningful fee for that service. For businesses that choose not to lock up their carts. For businesses, some of them do not go and pick up their carts in the community when they're, because I've called grocery stores and said, there's a cart over here. Would you come get it? No, we don't do that. Oh, okay, well, do you lock them up? No, we don't do that either. So thank you very much. Now you're unleashing your debris all over our neighborhoods, which isn't right either. So I like the piece about the conversation. I guess I'd like to see what the plan is moving forward before support is given.
Kyle?
Okay, so.
Hang on.
No, you don't have to. I can turn myself on.
Oh, that's fair.
Okay, so Councillor Miller did speak to me about this matter. I have spoken to the sanitation manager, and some of this conversation has taken place. So currently, periodically, the city staff will pick up garbage shopping carts if they see them. What was happening was they were being taken to the old city yards if they were picked up, things like that. Now, what Councillor Miller is just simply asking is that, and what can be provided is that they end up at the landfill. If nobody picks them up, they end up at the landfill. So what they're saying is they'll just go out to the landfill. If businesses want to come pick them up, they can come pick them up. They got to pick them up by the end of the month. If not, they're going in the landfill. They're going in the metal area, and they'll just be put through the metal situation. So we don't have old city yards, stuff like that. So right now there was a pile sitting at the old city yards. I think they were ending up in the landfill. People were upset about it, all those types of things. So now they'll go to landfill. Business will get a correspondence telling them, pick up your garbage, pick up your shopping carts that we may pick up. We're not going around the city just to pick up shopping carts. But if we happen to pick up shopping carts, those stray ones will be at landfill. End of each month, go out there, pick them up. If you don't go out there, they're in the middle. And that's what the process will be. It won't be anything strenuous.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Worship. Certainly looking forward to a longer conversation about this, but used to annoy me when you had to pay a loonie for a cart, but I certainly see the rationale behind it now, because it seems like a quarter of the city is walking around with shopping carts. The fact is, the shopping carts are stolen.
Yes.
That's another part of this reality. They're stolen from businesses. And we can't forget about that. Not only are they stolen, but I dare to guess that a lot of the items in these shopping carts that are concealed are also stolen. And I'm not sure that we also need to have this discussion perhaps within the Board of Police Commissions and have that discussion and see what our police officers are doing. Because usually if you're walking down the street with a stolen TV, you get stopped. Now you're walking down the street with a stolen shopping cart valued at what, $200 to $500. I recognize that it's mostly homeless people, but they're stolen, and it's not right. So we need to address that issue as well, somehow, some way. And so hopefully we can discuss that. Maybe as part of this motion, send a letter to the Board of Police Commission to discuss what we are doing with this stolen property. Thank you.
I'll let.
No, so she's going to go last. We're going to let her. We'll wait till everyone's done speaking, then she can decide what she's going to. Okay, so hang on, Councillor Head. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I do ask the mover to maybe, after hearing some of the comments, make some of those changes in our motion, because I do feel it's more than just pick them up and throw them away. Some of the points made today, and some of that stuff's on private property where our city staff cannot go on to go start taking carts. So that doesn't quite address it. I don't want to labor this conversation more, but I do think further report should be generated and kind of options on the best way forward would be my preference. So.
Now, in my other world, I used to remember in the mall business, we had 2 phone numbers that we would call if we had shopping carts, and they would come pick them up. And I asked this gentleman, and he was told that he had a contract with 3 of the major users, and that they paid him $2.50 to recover those carts. And I remember when I used to live at Las Rocas, we'd have 2 or 3 there because we get our groceries, and he'd come right to the apartment and get them. Because, of course, he was getting $2.50. As long as they weren't on the property, he would get his $2.50. And they were both very aggressive to get them because, you go out in the night, pick up 50 carts, you're in there. And then what they would do is drop them off on the sites, lock them up, and then come back the next morning and say, here's your 40 carts. But since that's not happened, that's why the carts are all over the place. Okay, Councillor Miller.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I'd like to add that a report come back on the existing policy that is there. Also that a letter to be provided to the Board of Police Commissioners to speak of the stolen carts. So with saying that, I'm really, I really don't, the ones that are being used by the homeless, that's neither here nor there for me. However, it's the empty ones that are just sitting around everywhere. Just about every second street that I go down, I see one. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But they're there. And so I would like those changes made. Thank you.
Tara Lennox, that's for the queue.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I am in agreement with this motion. Just one thought is, I wonder if we should be considering charging a higher fee for the work that our city staff are doing in this regard. I mean, it is work, and so that may be something to consider, is a higher fee for the work of obtaining those shopping carts. Thank you.
Oh, well, I think we can look at that once we see the policy, because I don't even know what the fee is, or if there is a fee. So that's why I'm glad that Councillor Joukowsky and the mover changed the motion, because I think once that comes back, we can have that discussion. Okay, I see no one else in the queue. I'll prompt the question. Uh-oh. Okay, and the motion is now open. Councillor Zapp?
In favor.
Motion carries. Okay, one more motion, 17.2, motion from Councillor Zapp, parks, streets, naming, policy changes, gender equality.
Thank you. I move that administration review the parks naming policy and street naming policy and bring forward language that enables diversity and gender equity to be a part of the naming selection process within the policy.
Seconder? Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion? If there's any?
I can start if that's helpful.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So as has been noted, we do have some diversity in our named spaces, and I was listening very avidly to Councillor Grodnick's description of some examples of that, and we certainly do. We have some diversity in our spaces that we have named. Now, we can encourage increased diversity in our city for named spaces by enacting it right in our own policy. The City of Saskatoon already does this within their naming policy, and they use very similar language to some of the language that's in this motion. And seeing diverse people honored really makes a difference to people in our community. I was encouraged by a fellow councillor to suggest that we look at reviewing the policy for this purpose, and that really the issue is enacting something like this into policy. The issue isn't really, as spaces get named, it's more so what is our policy, what is our goal, and can we move forward in encouraging, honoring people who are diverse in our community. So I am interested to hear what others have to say on the topic. Thank you very much.
Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion is coming to us because of the dissatisfaction of what we just did. That's why this motion is here. And what this motion then says to me is that we know better than the consultation that took place. Mm-hmm. The management committee, which this one councillor, Councillor Lennox, was a part of, was part of this. Voted on this list that came forward to us. We're also saying that we know more and better than Prince Albert Grand Council. The Prince Albert Grand Council brought forward names of veterans that they wanted honored. And we're now saying, you know what? You didn't get it right because you didn't include gender equity in that particular list that you forward to us. We're telling the Legion and the Anavettes, they brought forward a list of names as well. And it was, in fact, checked. Two women that did the list and brought those names forward for us. And that's what they gave to us. And we're saying, by this motion now, that they got it wrong, and we know better. Because we didn't include gender equity. They didn't include gender equity in it. So, I think we got it right. I think we brought forward the best people, and I think that's what it's about. And in talking with representative of the Legion that was involved in this process, they never thought about making it sure that we had equal number of men and women. They brought forward names of veterans that they thought should be honored in our community. And I think that's what it's about. And why we did this was just to shorten the list of people off of the street naming policy, because we would have had, there was 100 and some names, I think, or 150 names or something like that on that list, and we shortened it. And we decided to name parks and to shorten that list, name parks in honor of those people that were already on that list. And so I'm not sure, I'm not going to support this motion. And just because it's a reaction to something that we did right. Because we consulted, as I said, with the Prince Albert Grand Council. They know better than us who they want to honor, and who they want the city to honor. And we took their advice and we named parks after consulting with Prince Albert Grand Council, after consulting with the Legion and the Anavets. And so, to me, it's a slap in the face to these groups that if we all of a sudden start changing and saying, we know better than what you provided us. And that's what I read into this. And maybe I'm reading too much, but that's what I read into this. Thank you.
Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I am in support of this motion, and the reason that I am is I go back to probably Councillor Heads in my very first meeting, where report 19629 came about the naming of the streets and suspending the street naming because there were so many names. We're going to suspend this policy. And it said, as the topic, to discuss and potentially support a list of 14 names identified for priority use as street names in the city of Prince Albert, which would also require the suspension of the street name list and street naming policy until the names identified for priority use have been used, and then the street naming policy will be revised, has been revised. So I take this as an opportunity now that we have done the names, fulfilled that report, fulfilled that request, and that we now move forward to really take a look at our street naming policy so that we don't get in the same quandary as we had before with a list that is not manageable, and leave it to the departments to look at Saskatoon, look at Regina, look at their policies, and see what type of policy would best meet our needs in our city that is full of very deserving people. So I take this motion at face value, at not looking at the past, but looking for the future. So I'm in support of it.
Okay, I'll just have a few comments and then I'm going to go to Councillor Head and Councillor Miller. I too won't be supporting the motion, strictly because it's a reflection of what we just did. And the other reason I won't support it is, why are you just stopping at naming street names? Like when I got into, as mayor, the first thing I did is I got rid of patronage appointments. That this committee will have one woman, this committee will have one First Nations, this committee will have... We're a community, and every day. And we have great accomplishments. Without a policy, today, we lead the province. In senior management in our city now is 58% women. Without a policy. How did that happen? Our committees, without a policy, are general equal. In some cases, more females. How did that happen? We didn't have a policy. It's about doing the right thing. And we did the right thing. We consulted with the experts in the field. I don't know how many women fought in the war. I was told a very small number. That at that time, it was a man's field. And then women came in involved, and great, because we should all fight for our country, like we fight for our city. And I believe gender equality is our business every day. And if we need a policy to do the right thing, we're a sad council. Look at our employees. I am so proud. I cannot wait to go to the city manager's caucus meeting and put my nose up in the air and say, without a policy, look at our women lead in our community. Without a policy. How did that happen? We hired the right person for the job. The right person for the job. I don't look at color. I don't look at gender. When I go through the committees, I don't even look at the names. Because, oh, that's my friend, I'm putting them on there. When the city clerk comes, we look, and Councillor Miller's been part of this process, we look at the qualifications. Then we put the people on the committee, then we put the names in and see how we worked out. And that's how you should do it. And so I too, I believe in gender equality, I practice it. So I have no problem voting against this motion because my record speaks for gender equality. but it's just a poorly designed reaction to something that somebody didn't like. And so I won't be supporting the motion either, because I'll tell you, when it comes to gender equality, the city of Prince Albert leads this province. Okay, Councillor Miller. Oop, sorry, I hit you. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. And thank you for the comments around the table. You know, and I did vote in favor of the last motion of the street naming, and I didn't feel like it was inaccurate. I heard the comments in there. I agreed with the recommendations. And there's no disrespect to any saying that you got it wrong, they got this wrong, this group got that wrong. They did a lot of work towards to get that list, and that list was presented to council, and we voted on it, and I supported that. And so I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. As you mentioned, this list was, you know, well past 150 names, so they did kind of narrow it down, and I'm sure there's other names that might have been considered or didn't make it to those street naming lists. But we are driven by policy. The naming policies last week, these policies were included in that, the naming of the street policy and the naming of, so there's a reason why we have that, because the people need some direction on how we're going to go about setting up rules around naming of streets, naming of parks. And next time we kind of address this issue, may not be, and none of us may not be in this room. So I think it is important that we set some standards for the future. I don't think it's disrespecting any of the services that people are doing. It's saying that we're going to be the language that enables diversity and gender equality to be a part of the naming selection. It doesn't say that it has to and you must name this person. It's a suggestion to the people who are selecting those names. And they consider those names on top of all the other over 150 that they do. So it's a lot of work. I get it. No one's wrong with their selection. But moving forward, maybe we can include this as well.
Councillor Miller.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I too voted in favor of the list that came forward. And I think that, you know, looking at this motion and thinking of policy, I'm looking at it as a future generations that come after us who need some direction and will get it from policy and will understand it that way. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, can someone answer, I don't even know who to direct this to, does the current policy exclude diversity and gender equity?
Director of Planning. Hang on. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. Just to clarify, right now we don't have a policy in place, but the previous one, the short answer is no, it did not.
It didn't exclude, no. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Zepp, do you have a comment before I go to the question?
I do, please. The intent and spirit of this motion is in the spirit of forward-looking, not looking back. The spirit and intention of this motion is positive, and I wanted to add that I think Councillor Edwards' question is a good one. Does the current policy exclude diversity and gender equity? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The reason that other cities, Saskatoon, for example, and many others, the reason that many cities have language in their policy is so that they will encourage people of diverse backgrounds and genders to be a part of naming. And that, I think, is a lofty goal. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to prompt the question. The question's now open. 2 more, please.
In favor.
Passes. Thank you. Who was with me? Edwards and Brown. Okay, no public forum. Councillor Kilmer.
Move to adjourn.
Seconder. Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Just give me 1 minute. I'm fast at prompting this one. Okay. Counselor Zapp?
In favor.
Okay, closed and we're adjourned. Thank you. Good meeting. Have a good night.
Thank you for having me electronically.